Ant-Man and the Wasp, yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's the new theme song trademark. Can't beat me to it. What is up, Flick fans, and welcome back to another review of an MCU movie. This is the third one this year. You're wearing me out, Marvel Studios. This is Ant-Man and the Wasp, directed by the same guy, starring the same people, a couple of new characters here and there, but I am so excited to talk about this because I loved the first Ant-Man. I thought it was a really good, on the edge of being a great film, and I was so excited to see the Wasp at the forefront after being teased during the post-credit scene of the first Ant-Man. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. But no spoilers for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Stay tuned for the end of this video for a few announcements and a comment spotlight. Let's get into it. If you guys don't know how my reviews work, I like to talk about the good, the bad, and then give you my score. Let's get into it. So like I said, Peyton Reed is back in the director's chair, and I was really excited to see what he could conjure up without having that stigma of, oh, you're the replacement for Edgar Wright like it was in the first film. It's all yours, buddy, so let's see what you can do with it. Now, I have a few issues with this film, and I will go ahead and say this right off the bat. I don't like it as much as the first one, and I'm pretty concrete in that opinion. To see where it ranks in my actual MCU series, you'll have to stick around for this weekend because I will be ranking the movies. But right now, I just want to talk about this movie as an individual film. Try to steer clear of comparing it to the first until a little bit later, but one thing that really worked for me here is the humor. Some of the best stand-alone comedic scenes that Marvel has ever done. They usually kill it with Guardians, and Thor Ragnarok was hilarious, but for some reason, in Ant-Man and the Wasp, there were two scenes in particular that I can think of right now that absolutely cracked me up. One involved a schoolhouse, and the other one involved something I'm not going to give away, but both scenes, Madison and I were on the floor laughing. It was so funny. I believe that is ROFL, rolling on the floor laughing. And that's the thing about this movie. I don't think it's as cohesive as the first one, but there are moments. I liken it to what Deadpool 2 was to Deadpool 1. Deadpool 2, I think, was a bit funnier than Deadpool 1, but I still think Deadpool 1 was a better movie. There are definitely narrative issues within Ant-Man and the Wasp, but there's no denying that you're going to have a blast in the theater, and that's mostly because of what Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly do within this movie. Now, a lot of people are saying that the Wasp steals the show, and I do think she steals the show when it comes to action and part of the adventure aspect. But every time Paul Rudd is on the screen, I am so locked in because he's hilarious, he's heartwarming, he's heartfelt, and when it's him and his daughter, it's some of the best dialogue between two people in a Marvel movie I have ever seen. Give me a movie of just Ant-Man and his daughter because it works so well. Michael Peña's back, the gang is back. While I do feel like they were underserved as a unit, I still feel like Michael Peña got his time to shine, and man, he kills it once again. It started out, I'm like, okay, please don't force this man, please be as funny as you were in the first one, and he was. He even gets a chance to tell one of his famous stories, and I thought that was awesome. Some of the most inventive and creative fight scenes I've ever seen in a Marvel film. I love just the shrinking down and coming back up and fighting and then growing big. It's all so exciting, and when you're seeing it play out, just the fun aspect, what they're doing with the salt shakers and the Pez dispensers, making everything grow large and go small, you kind of think about it and it's like, okay, how is this affecting that? How is the building growing and nothing inside is falling apart or being messed around? But you're having so much fun, you really just don't care about it, and that is a credit to the director and what Marvel is doing with characters like this. Can you believe Ant-Man and the Wasp are headlining their own movie, and the movie is good? Oh, and some of the best de-aging technology I have ever seen. They made old people look like young people, and it was flawless. Oh, my last thing, this movie does something that I've never seen from a Marvel movie before. Every time that these guys go undercover, there is a certain disguise that they wear. This movie plays a joke on that, and I thought it worked so well. It's probably the hardest I laughed. Not a lot of other people laughed, but I always make fun of that specific thing, and it really called out the rest of the MCU. I loved it. Now, I said this movie had some really good things about it, and it absolutely did, but I do feel as a whole it's not as strong as the first one. Oh, Austin, you're going to start comparing them. Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of have to because it's a sequel to the first film, and I will say I think the first film is better. This one's not as complete, and I think part of the reason for that is a lot of people have been saying it, but the villains did not work for me as a whole. I liked aspects of the villain. I thought Ghost was really cool. Walton Goggins is a great actor. Randall Park is one of my favorite comedians right now, but just all three of them for me, in certain ways, they fell apart. In certain certain ways they worked. I was divisive on all three of them. Randall Park's not really a villain. It's just his character to me was just kind of, okay, you're coming in, you're messing things up. Why are you doing that? Walton Goggins, you're coming in, you're messing things up. Oh, you're giving us a really cool car chase scene, and I'm glad you did that, but what point are you serving? I feel like he could have not been in the movie. They could have shuffled some things around, and I think it would have actually worked a little bit better. Focus more on Ghost. She had a very interesting and tragic past, and they just kind of slide on by and say, oh, this is the character that you have to fight, and then things happen at the end, and I'm like, okay, why are these characters not getting what they kind of deserve? Certain characters get away with things, and it's like, whoa, you shouldn't be getting away with that. I liked Laurence Fishburne in the movie. I know that's not a negative, but I just forgot. I also didn't like how certain things weren't explained. Something happens between two characters at the end, and at that point, I was kind of like, okay, I'm about to check out because nobody is explaining what's going on, and actually nobody does at all. And when the movie started, it just kind of jumps into it. It feels a little bit choppy. I'm like, all right, I don't love where the editing's going. I like the individual scenes, but it didn't really feel cohesive. It starts to get better, and it flows really well. It's very action-packed, in your face, way more than the first one. I just don't think it gave us time to breathe as an audience. There are narrative issues, a few character issues, and yes, some of the humor falls flat, but I will say that the majority of the humor worked for me. All of that being said, I'm going to give Ant-Man and the Wasp a solid 74%. It's not going to be in like my top Marvel movies of all time, but it's a really solid film. You should go watch it in the theater because my theater was having a blast. We were laughing, we were screaming, we stayed during the post-credit scenes, and my God, you guys have to watch both of these post-credit scenes, especially the first one. Some quick announcements. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, be sure to do that because my Instagram story is going hard every single day, and my halfway through the year awards are going to be coming out on my Instagram story. Also, I'm going to start doing Instagram TV. I'm going to be doing some movie stuff, maybe some weekly highlights, weekly updates, so follow me on there. My movie stuff is coming. And today I have two comment spotlights. One is from Aaron. He is a great Starduster. Thank you so much for the kind words, man. And the other one is MTS the Shark Movie Reviews. He saw that I reviewed a movie and he clicked on it. Thank you both so much for the awesome comments. I always appreciate you guys for the likes, for the comments, seriously, all of the interaction that you do this weekend. MCU Countdown, and I will have a brand new Netflix review tomorrow morning. You guys are the absolute best. Man, that was a lot to get out. I will catch you guys later.